Greetings, LEGO fans. Keeping up with the outdoor builds, I'd like to dedicate this week's release to my buddy Mike. For, after a year of not being in the office, he forgot that he had this Bastion kit sitting under his desk, and decided I'd be a better person to assemble it. I don't really know all that much about Overwatch, but here we have this battle mech, seems to transform to a machine gun, and has a little bird companion, so he's alright by me. Now, I'm all set with my kayak to get on the water and start this build, so let's get the show on the road.
Before starting the review, a small note to my regular watchers. I'd like to let you know that starting next week, I will be moving my release date to Mondays. So if you check back next Friday and don't see my regular posting, please keep in mind that it'll be up 3 days later. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I don't really know much about Overwatch. And, as you can guess from that, I don't really know much about Bastion either. I don't know if Bastion's a particular robot, or a model of robot, but it's pretty clear that he's made for battle. I mean, why else would he have this giant machine gun strapped to his back? And have the ability to transform into a cannon. In his robot form, he stands at about 25 centimeters or 10 inches tall. His head moves very freely and has a very satisfying range of motion, being able to look around him in all directions, and being able to tilt up and down in a roughly 40-degree range of motion, plus having a little red light brick, probably signaling he's about to attack. Each of the arms can be manipulated in much the way one would expect an arm to be able to move, with the shoulder being able to move in 2 axes, first one being able to rotate all the way around, and second one tilting upwards and downwards a little bit, and then we have the elbow, which has a roughly 150-degree range of motion and is capable of twisting side to side ever so slightly. And then at the end of the right arm, Bastion has a small cannon, whereas on the left, he's got a hand, 3 fingers, plus a little spot where his little bird friend can perch. Very cute. Moving a little further down to the bottom half of the torso, Bastion has a mechanism allowing to rotate his torso left or right in a full 360-degree rotation. And now to the legs, which, following suit with the upper half of the body, also have a pretty good range of motion. Starting with the hips, which can also be moved along 2 axes. One allowing the leg to be lifted roughly 45 degrees to the side, and the other to rotate forwards and backwards in what I guess to be is a roughly 120-degree range of motion. And then, down at the ankle, it's able to tilt upwards and downwards a little bit, not very much at all, and is able to rotate in a full 360 degrees. Although I don't think this was intentional for the model, I think it's just a feature of the components that were used in the construction. Next up, we can transform Bastion into this cannon, which in this format stands about 18 centimeters or roughly 7 inches tall. The transformation is pretty simple and straightforward, but I do find it a little bit disappointing in that there's no place for the head, so you literally have to pull it out and put it aside. In this format, there aren't as many appendages or joints to manipulate. We still have that hip joint, allowing him to turn left, right, or rotate in a full 360 degree rotation, and then we have this massive machine gun, which does rotate and can be tilted upwards or downwards. I find it a little interesting that with this LEGO kit, and maybe it's the same for the other Overwatch kits, despite having a large rotating machine gun and a smaller cannon on his arm, there's no projectiles, no stud shooters, no spring-mounted launchers, or that rapid-fire stud shooter. This isn't a criticism, just an observation. And I really don't find that this detracts from the playability of the set at all. This is a lot of fun. Stomping around as a robot, pretending to take out targets, transforming it, that's all great. So as a play kit, this one scores very well. As a display piece, for me personally, someone who has no connection to the game, I don't find it has all that much appeal. It just kind of looks like a toy sitting on the shelf. But if you're an Overwatch fan, I'm sure this set will have a lot more appeal for you than it does for me. Just as, if you were to have other members of the collection, it would probably also look pretty great together. And finally, as to the parts they might be tempted to reuse in another build, I found that this kit didn't really have anything that stands out. There's a healthy variety of components in here, and many great pieces that would be very useful for all kinds of builds. But there's nothing that really stands out as being unique or special. The light brick is pretty cool, but that's about it. I think it's pretty safe to say that this kit was intended for the Overwatch fans out there. They're definitely going to appreciate it and enjoy it the most. But even if you're not an Overwatch fan, this is a cool little BattleBot. Something which, I feel, on its own would appeal to a lot of junior LEGO fans out there. So there's a pretty wide range of appeal. And despite not having any remarkable components, I think this one's a really nice addition to the parts bin, providing lots of options for future builds, which, as a non-display piece, is exactly what I want out of my LEGO. So, overall, I give this kit 2 thumbs up.